Hi, this is Sven at Manticore Arms, and today we're going to show you installation and removal of the charging handles on the Scorpion Evo. So this will apply for the OEM charging handles, our fixed extended charging handles, which this gun has actually two of them on, and we'll show you that in a minute, and also our Evo switchback charging handles, which are the ones with the folding component on it. It'll apply for both the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. If you happen to have one of our originals, it's all metal construction with some pins that hold one component to the steel rod. If you have our newer Gen 2 charging handles, those are actually a polymer overmold on the rod, which has to do with construction, long-term durability, some things like that. Both will last a long time, but it just makes it easier to construct the handle and to interface with aluminum hand guards, which the original metal ones, sometimes you'd see a little bit of finish rubbing. All right, so we've got our Scorpion here. This is actually a machine gun, although externally and feature-wise and component-wise, everything's exactly the same on them except for a little bit in the trigger group and the bolt carrier. So we've got our charging handle right here. You also notice, we're going to point out, there is a pin here. This pin is driven out that way. You also notice there are two charging handles on the gun. So kind of the neat thing about the charging handles on the Scorpion are, here's your charging handle, here's the rod. The rod presses on the face of the bolt group, which is inside the receiver here. We'll flip it over. There's your bolt, and we'll pull the charging handle so you can see it. And the slot on either side contacts this, and there's nothing stopping it from contacting it. So you can put a charging handle on either side. You could put one of our extended ones or a switchback on one side, your original on the other. Any combination of charging handles will work, and they all basically function, individually. The handle part is different, but the rod part is all the same on all of them. So to remove the charging handles here, what we're going to do first, because this makes it a little easier to remove this pin, is we're going to pull the charging handles back. I did clear this gun before filming the video, and we want to, if you've got both charging handles on, fold them both back so you get your little ears sticking up here. Then what we're going to do, I'm going to just take an Allen wrench in this case. You may need a hammer and punch depending on how tight it is. You're just going to push on that pin, and it starts coming out the other side here. So there you go, it's coming out. Let's see if we can get it out all the way. We may just have to do one handle here without a punch for the video, but we'll give her a shot here, see if we can get it to go. There we go. And if you have an older gun, you'll see there's this kind of keyed pin. That's the depression area. You'll also notice there's a little tooth on there, and it's hard to see here. I'm going to see if you can get my finger back there. But that little slot faces to the back. So when you go to install this pin, make sure that slot's to the back. You can install it on this side. You could push it through this side. It doesn't really matter, but usually you'll find from the factory they're installed so they come out to the right side. I've been told by some people they're actually, CZ may just be using a roll pin now that you'd punch out with a hammer. I don't know if that's a supply issue with these little pins or they've done a permanent change to that. Either way, just keep that in mind. So if you see something and you go, hey, it doesn't look like you did in the video, we don't always have all the variations of the gun, but I just wanted to mention that. All right, so now we've got our charging handles back here. We're going to take this one on this side and carefully lower it and slide it forward. Now, when we slide it forward, and you'll see why in a minute here, we're going to get to a spot where it doesn't seem like it really wants to go any farther forward. What's happening is there's a little spring that sticks out on that handle, which gives it some compression in that slot. And we actually need a tool in here to compress that spring. And I apologize, it's just really not visible till we remove it from the gun. So there we go. You can see it slid forward. So there's your spring. And the problem you run into is you've got this hole here, and that spring, when it gets to that point, goes, oh boy, I've got somewhere to go, and pops out into that hole. Well, if you keep trying to ramrod this thing forward, when it catches in that hole, what's going to happen is this spring, you can see right there, is pinned at the back, and it sticks out here and then has this little loop in it. If you keep ramming that, this whole spring is just gonna fold back and become a mess. And trust me, I know, because even though I make these parts for a living, early on when I went to remove a charging handle, I did that very thing. It becomes a huge pain in the butt to get out of the gun, and then you've broken your spring here, which is a pain to get a replacement for because they are a custom bent one. We do make them in-house for our own handles. And then pinning it in, I've got a guy here in the shop that is like a master at it, and even I can't do this very easily. Anyhow, long story short, keep this spring in mind when you're doing installation. And removal. I guess removal is the more important one because if you've never seen it, you wouldn't know. You notice with this one, I've left the charging handle back. You could ease the bolt down. It's not the end of the world either way. So what we're going to do then is you've got your round channel here. You're going to take the rod, if you're putting a new handle in, slide it in there, and you'll notice once again the little spring is kind of hanging up on the plastic here. You can just use your finger or a tool or whatever you need to. You compress that, and you can see it's compressing inside the rod there. You'll slide back, and then it'll catch again. And so we're going to use the other handle to pull the bolt back. If you don't have two handles on the gun or you're installing it, you can disassemble the gun, just remove the bolt carrier from the gun. That'll take all the compression off of it. So we're going to reach in that hole again, find the spring, maybe. Oh, you know what? It went right past. So actually getting the bolt back, because of the way it was situated, it just folded in, and now it's past the hole right there. And then you're good. At this point, if I can find that little pin, don't lose them. We're going to take that tooth back, put that in the hole, and we'll see. Oh, that one is playing nice today. Went right in, came all the way through. You can now release your handles, and you're good. Your handles are installed. And like I said, this will work on the OEM handle, our fixed extended here, and our switchback folding one. In fact, if there's any other handles out there, it'd work the same way with that spring. That's the main thing that hangs people up and that people can cause damage on. So I'm Sven from Manticore Arms. That's the installation and removal of the Evo charging handle. And if you have any questions, please email us at info@manticorearms.